Good day and welcome to the Megacast 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com, Civic Center TV, and our partnering stations on the radio 88.1 WBFH, The Biff out of Bloomfield Hills, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio out of Auburn Hills. I am Tyler Keefe, filling in for Dave Scott today. He has the day off, out on assignment, as we say. We got a great lineup today of people on the show who will be talking to us about a wide variety of topics. Early on in the show, we're going to talk about food insecurity during the pandemic. How is that being addressed in Oakland County, in Metro Detroit, in our greater community? And we're also going to speak in the first hour of the show about education. We've spoken a lot with superintendents. We've spoken with a couple of teachers. It's time to get a different angle. How are our students with special needs being educated and being engaged during this time? I'll speak to Jed Jones, a teacher at West Bloomfield High School, special ed teacher at West Bloomfield High School, and an athletics coach, about how athletics and our special ed community in the community, our special needs community, is being impacted by the coronavirus pandemic of 2020. Later on today, after this show is done at 3 o'clock, we will also have the Governor, Gretchen Whitmer. She will be doing another one of her press conferences today, 3 o'clock. We will have that for you here. She'll be joined, of course, by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Medical Director, Dr. Jonay Caldoun, as well as being joined by Dr. Marisa Eisenberg from the University of Michigan Department of Epidemiology, giving an update on how Michigan is responding to COVID-19, what is our future. It's well noted that we're coming up on the end of the governor's extended stay-at-home order. That is going to expire April 30th, which means May 1st is a whole different situation depending on what happens. If the governor gets permission from the state legislature to extend the stay-at-home order, that doesn't seem like it's going to be likely at this point based on the legislature's point of view, or if it goes away, or if we have a slow rollout, some sort of compromise that allows for the state to gradually reopen the economy while continuing to take precautions. We didn't hear much of anything on that note from the governor in her press conference on Monday. It'll be interesting to know if we'll hear more from her about that today. Yesterday, in a live video with the Washington Post, according to my source, which is WXYZ TV Detroit, the governor was quoted as said on live video chat that the stay-at-home order will continue, quote, in some form, and closed quote, with of course the expiration being May 1st. That would be the first day that the stay-at-home order, as it stands now, would not be in effect. Plenty of other news making headlines today. We'll have time to go over some of those later on. But for more information on the coronavirus in our community and throughout Oakland County, I encourage you to go to our website, civiccentertv.com. And at the very top of the page, we have some very helpful links here at our coronavirus page, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Here we have articles ranging from national to local to right in your community about the coronavirus and about what people in our community are doing to combat the coronavirus. So here we have information on a potential new relief bill in Congress. A local bank in Oakland County are helping to donate to local manufacturers to help produce PPE, and some good news about the numbers in Oakland County regarding COVID-19. Additionally, on our coronavirus page, we have resources from all over the country. So CDC resources if you want to get a federal response information about the coronavirus from the state of Michigan, from right here in Oakland County, and then the communities that we're serving with this megacast here, ranging from West Bloomfield, Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake Village, the four communities that we primarily cover here at Lakes FM, to the other communities that we're covering with our partnering stations, Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills for WBFH, Rochester Hills, Troy, Pontiac, Auburn Hills, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio. All of these provide links directly to your community. So let's say today our community of choice is Pontiac. if I click on Pontiac, it's going to bring me to the City of Pontiac's website with specific information provided by the city regarding COVID-19. That just for you on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, no matter where you are in Oakland County, or if you want to find more information on a national level or state level, we have that all for you on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. We also have, if you miss an episode of the Megacast, you can also go to our website and click on Megacast. You can watch full episodes. You can watch individual interviews. Earlier on this week, we had an excellent interview with Dr. Russell Faust, the medical director from the Oakland County Health Department, who had a lot of interesting information to say regarding Oakland County's response, PPE, regarding the testing availability. And one thing he really said that was very interesting was the testing results are coming in faster than ever in Oakland County. The tests that are being provided at the Oakland County central office in Pontiac, those results, he said, are coming back in about 24 to 48 hours, which is exceptional considering at the beginning of this, we were seeing days and even several weeks before you would get a result from a coronavirus test. So things are looking up. But we still have a lot of ground to cover before we're out of the woods on this. So what are we going to do about that? What we're going to do is we're here at the Megacast is we're going to help to keep you informed. What's going on in your community? What's going on in your backyard? How can you get involved in helping other people? And what can you do to stay safe? That's what we're all about here at the Megacast, and that's what we'll continue to be all about as we go on. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have Wren Hack, the executive director of Hazon, Detroit, on with us via Zoom on the Megacast. And you are watching us on Civic Center TV, Comcast, Channel 15, and AT&T, Channel 99, on the web in crisp, high definition on civiccentertv.com. And, of course, you're listening to us on our radio station network, 89.3 Lakes FM, WBFH 88.1, The Biff out of Bloomfield Hills, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, based out of Avondale High School. Back in a moment with Wren Hack from Hazon, Detroit on the Megacast.
Hello, I'm Dr. Betty Chu, Chief Quality Officer at Henry Ford Health System, and I'm with Wright Lassiter, Henry Ford Health System's CEO, to talk about coronavirus.
In uncertain times, it's natural to have questions. So I'm going to ask Dr. Chu to answer some of the common ones. First, why can't I visit my grandma to see if she's okay?
Because the elderly are at a higher risk for complications with this disease, and you could inadvertently infect her.
If I'm healthy, why can't I go out with my friends?
The larger the crowd you're exposed to, the higher the chance you could get infected and infect others.
If I have symptoms, why do I have to seek care?
While the disease isn't dangerous for most people, for others it can be. We need to understand how serious your case is, because the right choices save lives. For more information, visit henryford.com or call 313-874-1055.
Coronavirus is deadly, but Michigan can fight back. Our front doors are the front lines of defense. Staying home is the best way to stop the spread, because just one infected person can give it to 40, who can give it to countless more. So call Grandma, don't visit. Video chat, don't meet up. And if you must go out for food or medicine, keep at least 6 feet from others. Stay home, stay safe, stop the spread.
The Megacast is back, 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com, Civic Center TV, and our partnering radio stations, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio and WBFH 88.1 The Biff in Bloomfield Hills. I am Tyler Kieft, and we are now going to be joined by a very special guest coming to us from Hazon, Detroit. It is their executive director, Wren Hack, joining us on the Megacast. Wren, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tyler, very much. We're thrilled to be here.
So, Wren, first off, tell us, what in normal times does Hazon, Detroit do?
Difficult to remember those normal times. First off, I just want to clarify, it's actually pronounced Hazon.
Oh, I apologize.
And That no problem. We are very accustomed to that. We are a national environmental sustainability organization. We're Jewish in our roots, though we work with everyone. And our mission is to work for a greener world. And we do it in a normal situation. We do it in a myriad of ways. We work with organizations to help them go through audits, to find out how they can become greener, whether it's to use switch to LED lighting, whether it's to put in gardens, whether it's to look at their heating and cooling, whether it's to install solar. And then we also work with partnering organizations in the city as well as individuals to help them become greener. So our desire is to make this planet a better and more sustainable place to live.
So a lot of Hazon's mission is regarding sustainability and education about food production, gardening, and the such. During this unprecedented time with so many food insecure people in our community, how has Hazon modified or changed its mission or its efforts to help alleviate that problem?
So we have completely pivoted. We quickly sat down and discussed what does sustainability mean in these crazy times. And for us, it meant literally looking at sustainability at its most base foundation. We quickly realized that food insecurity was and is a huge problem for our community. We know this because we have numerous partners in Detroit. We were hearing from them, but we were also hearing from our organizations in the suburbs. And so for us, we felt it imperative to, as I said, pivot and deal with those base needs, which is, for many people, food on the table. For others, it's, okay, I'm okay now, but I'm not sure what I'm going to be like in a couple of months because I've lost my job. I don't have much reserves. So the first step we took was going into food rescue. There were warehouses in Detroit that they had deliveries in the system that they had to accept, but they didn't have, because of the closure of restaurants and schools, they didn't have those places to deliver to. So we connected with them and began picking up literally cases, of which we then took to either our partnering organizations, which some of them are food pantries in Detroit and Oakland County, or actually individuals that we knew that were in need of food. We also were rescuing food from caterers and schools even, who were, had scheduled events that were canceled. And that was amazing, because we were actually able to pick up prepared foods that we were then able to connect with others in the community. So that was our first response. And then it was realizing that obviously the warehouses weren't going to continue receiving deliveries, the schools, the caterers weren't going to continue to have food. It was what can we do to support the food scarcity, whether it's in the food pantries or whether it's in people's pocketbooks. And we chose to go to, in a sense, our roots, where gardening is such a big part of the work we do. And we decided that we were going to assist people in gardenings in their home. We knew this was something people could do. Most people were stuck at home and had a little bit more availability of time. And also it would allow people to kind of get outside and feel a bit useful. So we began the Garden Relief Initiative, in which we deliver to anyone who signs up 2 5-gallon buckets of compost, which we get from our partners in Detroit. and we deliver 3 packets of vegetable seeds, and we take it right to their homes. We place it wherever they tell us. We have a form that they can tell us. We don't have to come in contact with anybody. And the hope is that if people are gardeners, that they will enlarge their garden. And if people haven't gardened, that they start. And upon harvesting, our ask is to give 10%, give whatever you can to our food pantries. And in fact, we've offered you can call us and we'll come pick it up, just as we've dropped off to over 80 homes now. We'll pick up that produce and get it to those pantries in need.
That's fantastic. And I just have to ask, because of the situation that we're in, you're providing these materials to these people that are interested in helping out Hazon, or interested in increasing their garden and helping the community out. How is Hazon ensuring that these materials that they're providing are safe? What are the precautions that your organization's taking?
So much of my team is in isolation. So there's very few of us who are actually going out. I can tell you I've gone through boxes of gloves, because every single delivery, I put on a new pair of gloves. I wear a mask. If anyone is with me, they too put on gloves. The seeds, packets of seeds are put into a plastic bag. We do not hand the seeds to anybody. We actually literally, we take the buckets. We don't leave the buckets. One, they're expensive, but 2, we also don't want to have them handle something we've handled. So we dump the compost, and then we put the plastic bag of seeds into the compost. And then when people are ready, they come and get it. But obviously in these times, safety is huge. My safety is big. I need to stay healthy to be able to continue doing this, and the safety of those that we're providing the compost to. The compost is not handled by hand. It is literally picked up when we go to Detroit. It is with a front end loader dumped into the back of my truck, of which then shovels that are handled with rubber gloves or plastic gloves are shoveled into the buckets, and the buckets then are dumped. So we have been doing this for about a month now, and obviously it's imperative that we're able to continue doing it. So health safety is paramount.
Wren Hack, Executive Director of Hazon Detroit, on with us on the Megacast, 89.3 Lakes FM, WBFH, 88.1 The Biff, WAHS, 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, as well as on with us on Civic Center TV. So, Wren, I have your a little bit of a mission statement here, a part of the mission statement from Hazon in front of me. It says that the Hazon experience is in part to inspire individuals and communities to make specific commitments to change with a particular focus on food systems. So during this historic time, and with everything that's going on and every scary part of this situation, how do you help to utilize the messages and the stories of people in these situations to help continue to foster that message and to grow Hazon and inspire more people, or continue to inspire people that are already involved to continue on with the organization's efforts?
Storytelling is huge during this time. I think especially with people being stuck in their homes and only watching, let's say, news or listening to their friends, a lot of people don't know what the full picture is, or even what some of the picture is. And one of the opportunities, sadly for us, is in getting around, and we've been to 27 different cities in our deliveries, is to see the need. We're dropping off at homes that you would assume people would be able to have, let's say, what they call a COVID-19 garden, where they can grow completely for others, and what we call neighbors helping neighbors. But I have to say, in so many of the homes that we're delivering, we're being told in responses following our deliveries that they need that food for themselves. And it's really so important that people know that the need has increased greatly, and it increased immediately. When we were in the first week, when we were going to the warehouses in Detroit to pick up the cases of food that was available, we were meeting individuals that had lost their job just the week before, and they were already having to seek out food. And the reason being is that they didn't have reserves. They don't have reserves. When we make our deliveries in Detroit, and it's as I mentioned, we not only do the Relief Garden Initiative, but we also do food for rescue. So we're kind of moving extra food from one pantry to another, or we're picking up from farmers greens and able to deliver. And what we're hearing are people, especially in Detroit, no electricity, no running water, and they're looking for meals. And that's not by the 10s or 20s. It's sadly by the hundreds. And it's also in our own communities. I think that's something we tend to think in the suburbs, that, the issue isn't so bad in the suburbs. I know you have Lea from Yad Ezra who will follow me, and she'll be able to tell you how the need has grown in our own community. We've done an immense amount of deliveries in West Bloomfield, Oak Park, Southfield, Commerce, all of our communities around us. And fortunately, to some, there's, as I mentioned before, they're able to grow extra. Unfortunately, for others, they are growing for themselves, and they need that food very quickly. So some of what we've been delivering right now in terms of the seeds are things that can grow quickly and in the cool weather. They're cool weather seeds: peas, lettuce, kale. But we're also reaching out to them and letting them know of the pantries that are nearby that they can get to. So it is an unprecedented situation. It's a very sad and an emotional situation, but thankfully there are many organizations that are trying to respond. And what we are asking, and not only Hazon, but Yad Ezra, Hospitality House, which is one of the pantries in Oakland County, are asking for people to do what they can, provide, either offer donations, offer food. We do a lot of pickups when we get calls from people who have unopened packages of food. We'll pick it up, leave it on their front door, your stoop, and we'll pick it up and get it to where it needs to go.
Wren Hack, Executive Director of Hazon, Detroit. It's huge. What you're doing, what your organization is doing, is absolutely huge. And as someone that's on that front line, that sees both the people that are involved in helping Hazon with their mission and those that you're helping as well, seeing both of those people's stories. If one new family that may be listening today, or one new person that says, I want to get involved, I want to start gardening and helping this organization out, from your perspective, knowing how this impacts people in the community, how much does one family, one extra garden, one extra batch of food that's being produced and donated help the community through this tough time?
I think I often refer to the story of the starfish. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, like, parable, so to speak, where a man comes upon a beach which is full of starfish that have all been kind of grounded. They're no longer in the water. And he sees a person, picking up starfish and throwing them back in the water. And he comes up to that person. He's like, "What are you doing? There are thousands of starfish here. You're throwing a few of them back." And he said, "It helps that one. The one I pick up, it helps." Those people that are gardening for us right now, we've got, as I said, we have 80. We have continually people signing up. We will deliver as long as we possibly can. Even if someone offers, one of the homes we went to in Dearborn, it was actually Dearborn and Dearborn Heights. In both those neighborhoods, literally we saw people coming out of their home with a head of romaine lettuce and handing it to someone else. That's what's needed. You may say, "Oh, I only have 2 heads of lettuce, or I only have 5 tomatoes," or whatever. But to someone else who doesn't have anything, that means something. One of our Detroit neighbors that we delivered, that we took to the pantry, one of the neighbors had come to them and said they hadn't eaten in 2 days. So when you think of like, "Oh, all right, I've only got a bushel of beans, or a half a bushel, a quarter bushel, whatever," to that person who's not eating, it means a lot. So every individual has an opportunity to make a change for the better. This is truly a situation of neighbors helping neighbors. And all Hazon is doing is simply connecting and, moving. We're just moving pieces.
So for people that do want to get involved, how can they get in contact with you? How can they get in contact with the organization? What do they need to do to get started?
So they can check out our Facebook page. It's just go to Hazon Detroit. And they can also, you'll see kind of, pictures and stories of the work that we're doing. But you can also email me. And my email address is Wren, WREN .hack, HACK, @Hazon, HAZON.org. And we are thrilled to hear from anyone who is wishing to help. And if we can't utilize you, we can connect you with those who can.
Well, thank you very much, Wren Hack, Executive Director of Hazon Detroit, for joining us today. Is there anything else before I let you go that you'd like to say?
I think one I wanted to say to you, Tyler, is in listening to the amazing lineup of speakers, I applaud you. I applaud your station for putting out so much information, so much needed information. I think that's something that's so important right now. And the other is just, while we're in the midst of this, and even please know that following the lifting of quarantine, the need is not going to go away. People are not going to suddenly have money in their pockets that allows them to eat as they know, as they did prior to all of this. So please continue, even if May 1st the quarantine is lifted. Please do what you can, and please think of your neighbors at this point, and think of how you can help.
Thank you. I appreciate your good words about us, and I appreciate everything that you're doing and your organization's doing in the community as well. Wren Hack, Executive Director of Hazon Detroit, with us on the Megacast. We're going to take a short break, and we'll return. We'll be joined by Lea Luger from Yad Ezra. She's the Executive Director of the Yad Ezra Food Bank. She will join us next on the Megacast. You are watching us on Civic Center TV and listening to us on 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio, as well as 88.1 WBFH, The Biff. We'll be back shortly.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonae Caldoun. We know that COVID-19 is spreading rapidly across Michigan right now. The most important thing people can do to protect themselves is social distancing. That means unless you are a critical infrastructure worker or going out to get food or medicine for your home, you should be staying at home. Stay home, stay safe, save lives.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
The Megacast on 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com, Civic Center TV, and on our partnering radio stations, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, as well as on 88.1 WBFH The Biff. I am Tyler Kieft, and we are joined now from Yad Ezra Food Pantry. We are joined by their Executive Director via Zoom, Lea Luger. Lea, welcome to the Megacast.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So for those who are unfamiliar, can you just give us a little information about what Yad Ezra is?
Well, Yad Ezra, which literally means helping hand in Hebrew, was established in 1990 to provide free kosher groceries to low-income families in southeastern Michigan. And what started out as a very small endeavor out of a basement has grown into a much larger endeavor out of a 16,000 square foot building by providing over 1 million pounds of free groceries to low-income families over the course of the year. We were serving about 1,100 families every month, representing about 2,400 individuals prior to COVID-19. Our numbers have obviously increased and continue to grow. By at least 10%, moving towards the 20% mark. The good news is the community has been very responsive and supportive of us and realizes that everyone should have food on the table. So we are able to provide those groceries very differently than formerly, but we are doing it through a delivery service only. Prior to COVID-19, clients came to our building and would choose the groceries that they needed and wanted. And now, because we didn't want clients to come to us, this was even before the governor executed her stay-at-home mandate. We decided that for the health and well-being of clients, and frankly also our volunteers and staff, it would be better to move to a deliveries only system so that people could still get their groceries during this time.
Well, that's huge, to be able to modify and adapt what you're doing to the times while still fulfilling your greater message and your greater objective, which is to provide food to people in need. So with that being said, in these times, with safety being absolutely paramount, what is Yad Ezra doing to ensure that the food that they're delivering to these people are safe, and that the people that are delivering the food are also staying safe as well?
Well, so we've stopped allowing anyone into the building other than our small staff. There's 7 of us, okay? And our model has always been a very small staff and a large core of dedicated volunteers who partner with us to get the food to these families. So in the past, when we had volunteers at stations here providing the clients with the groceries, now what we've done is we have staff and a few volunteers pre-package groceries. We've reached out to people who want to volunteer to do deliveries, who come to us. We load the groceries into the trunks of their cars. Obviously, following social distancing, etiquette, masks, gloves, everything to protect everyone's safety. And then the volunteers are calling the clients and telling them that they are on their way and to be prepared to receive the food items. No one's going into any apartment buildings. Everything is being dropped off at the front stoop or front door. And this is a way that the clients protected, as well as frankly the volunteers, so that we can get the food to these families in need without jeopardizing anyone's health.
So we spoke earlier in the program with Wren Hack, the executive director of Hazon, Detroit, and she mentioned that food insecurity in this time with the pandemic going on has dramatically increased, and there are more people in need. Has Yad Ezra been able to respond to that and be able to keep up? Is there an increased demand, and what has your organization been doing to keep up with that?
Well, even though we're a kosher food pantry, so we're kind of pigeonholed, anyone who needs food and contacts us is going to get something. We're on, for example, United Way's 211 list. And we've had a number of emergency calls from people who, they don't care that we're a kosher food pantry, they care about getting food. And so what we will do in that instance is have them come to our building, where again, we will prepackage some groceries and put it in the trunk of their car. So they stay in the safety and security of their car while being able to get some groceries. And since the pandemic, we've had, I would say maybe 10 people a week who've been availing themselves of that service. At the same time, we give them a list of other pantries that they can go to. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, a number of pantries have had to close their doors. But because we are as large as we are, providing about, again, over 1 million pounds of groceries a year, we have had some of our sources cut us off, if you will. But for the most part, we are able to meet the need and exceed that need. We've been stockpiling items since the beginning of this to ensure that we do not run out of things like chicken and ground beef.
Yeah, that leads into my next question for you, because I've been to your facility before. We at Civic Center TV and Lakes FM, we've done work with you before in the past. We've interviewed you before, and I've seen the facility. It's a large food pantry. There's plenty of food there on a regular basis, and during this, a lot of what you get is donations, correct? So.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I mean, people are dropping off their post-Passover food, that they didn't use up. But the truth of the matter is the money goes further. We certainly appreciate having people drop off food that they think we need, and we will use it. We will distribute it. But because of our buying power, monetary donations go a lot further.
Okay. Yeah, because my one thing that I was thinking about was with the usual mode of donation, and then in this time it may be a little bit more difficult to get those in, especially if you're closing off your facility. But that's great information to have for our community, that monetary donations are more helpful to your organization at this point in time, so you can continue to provide the food in a safe manner. So on that note, if people want to help and people want to be involved by a donation, how can they make that happen?
Well, they can call our phone number, which is 248-548-3663, and talk to any one of us who will be happy to provide them with the information needed. You can check out our website, www.yadezra.org, which has all kinds of information on both ends, by the way, if you're in need or if you want to help. We've got all kinds of information on the website specific to coronavirus and how we are operating at this time.
Well, that's great information, and on top of providing food to people in need, you're also partnering with, you mentioned earlier, partnering with other organizations in the community that are also addressing food insecurity. And one of those, of course, we spoke to Wren Hack from Hazon, Detroit. They have a close relationship with Yad Ezra through the Detroit Relief Garden initiative. How is your organization aiding other organizations at this time, and how is that helping to fulfill Yad Ezra's greater mission?
Well, I have to give a shout out to Jewish Federation of Metro Detroit, who hosts Zoom meetings every single morning with Federation and non-Federation agencies to address the needs and concerns of the community and the organization supporting those who are vulnerable. So they've been an amazing partner. And because of these daily conference calls, we're able to, in real time, connect with other agency executives and say, oh, I can help you with this, or I need help with that. For example, since we've moved to this deliveries only, we're talking about 1,100 deliveries over the course of a month, which is a pretty daunting number. Thankfully, JFS has offered us some of their vans and drivers who were not furloughed, so that they could help us with some of the deliveries to our larger concentrated areas. So we're really all working together in an amazing way. And all of us, I think, have really, we always appreciated each other, but this is the real deal now. And it's wonderful to see that everyone's stepping up, especially when we're so isolated, physically. The fact that we are all coming together for the greater good, I find amazingly and incredibly rewarding. And I'm just happy to be able to do what I can.
I agree. I think that's incredible that the organizations in our community, that people from throughout our community and neighboring communities are continuing to get involved and continuing to help other people, especially in these times where we're not really able to connect person to person in person with each other, but we're still finding ways to make an impact. And I think that's profound, and that's exactly the kind of thing that people should be doing with their free time if they have it in these times, or be able to do with their efforts wherever they can put it to help other people. So right now on the Megacast, speaking with Lea Luger, the Executive Director of Yad Ezra Food Bank. Anything else that you'd like to say to our audience, that anything that we may not have touched on that you'd like to speak of before we let you go?
I just want to echo something that Wren said earlier. Hopefully this will end sooner rather than later, but the need will always exist. Prior to COVID-19, we still were serving over 1,000 families every month. These are families who, for whatever reason, olders, many of them seniors, many of them not able to work for a variety of reasons. The need will continue to exist post COVID-19. And I hope and pray that everyone will recognize that and will continue to support the efforts of those of us who work towards food security.
Well, thank you for your efforts in the community, Lea, and thank you for joining us today. That is Lea Luger, Executive Director of Yad Ezra Food Bank, helping people out throughout this process. We've spent the better part of this first hour of the program today discussing food insecurity, and we speak about Hazon, who's serving 27 different cities and helping people receive food and collecting food and produce food for people in need. And now with Yad Ezra on a regular day, on a regular month, they're serving 1,000 people monthly, as Lea just said. And it's even more during this time. People are even more in need now than ever before because of the unprecedented times that we're in. So if there's any way you can get involved, I encourage you to do that. And I think that it's the right thing for us to do in these times, is to help, at any time, is to help other people as best as we possibly can. Because it's our duty to other people, and it makes for a better world for all of us, whether we need the help now or may need it in the future or may never need the help at all. To help other people right now when we have that opportunity and when the need is greater than it's ever been in our lifetimes, it's absolutely paramount that we do whatever we can to make sure that other people in our community and in neighboring communities are okay. Because I think that's just the duty of us as human beings. We'll be back in just a few. We got our next guest coming up. Jed Jones, special education teacher and JV basketball coach at West Bloomfield High School, will join us on the Megacast. You are watching us on Civic Center TV, Comcast Channel 15, and AT&T Channel 99, and you are listening to us on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, as well as on 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. We will be back in just a moment.
Coronavirus is deadly, but Michigan can fight back. Our front doors are the front lines of defense. Staying home is the best way to stop the spread, because just one infected person can give it to 40, who can give it to countless more. So call Grandma, don't visit. Video chat, don't meet up. And if you must go out for food or medicine, keep at least 6 feet from others. Stay home. Stay safe. Stop the spread.
Technology like smartphones are wonderful devices to reduce social isolation in older adults. You can call grandchildren, phone friends, participate in fitness classes, and play games. But you need to stay mindful of scams. Scams related to the COVID-19 virus are rising. These include attempts to obtain personal information from seniors, including pitching unreliable products, advice, tests, and cures. You need to stay vigilant and be cautious. If you feel that you have been taken advantage of, it's okay for you to reach out to somebody you know and seek out advice, or even contact your medical provider. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter. Our top priority remains slowing the spread of COVID-19 in our communities. Please stay home, and when you must go out to an essential business, take precautions like social distancing and washing your hands when you come home. Because of the pandemic, we are behind in our response rate in Michigan. While you are home, please take a few minutes to fill out the census. It is more important than ever that we receive money back from our federal government. The census is Oakland Together.
It's the Megacast, 89.3 Lakes FM, Civic Center TV, partnering radio stations 88.1 The Biff, the Bloomfield Hills School District, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. That is, of course, Avondale Schools out of Avondale High School, and we have a big shout out to Logan over there, engineering us daily here on the Megacast through that program, and we're glad to be joined by them, glad to be joined by the Biff, 88.1 WBFH, and doing this Megacast every day, presenting the news to the community that is about the community, things that you need to know, and people that you need to learn about, because if you learn about what these people are doing, it may inspire you to do something good in your community as well. So we're going to talk, we talked in the first couple of interviews with people who are helping to bridge the food insecurity gap in our community. And we also, now we're going to be joined by a teacher. We're going to be joined by Jed Jones, a special education teacher and a JV basketball coach in the West Bloomfield School District, who will talk to us now about how our students are being impacted and how our teachers are being impacted by this. So Jed, join us on the show now. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So Jed, we've heard a lot about the school district's perspective for continuity of education. We've heard a little bit from teachers. So from your end, how are the teachers holding up during all of this?
It's kind of a rat race going on. I'm trying to figure out what's best for kids all the time. And the best way I've been able to describe it is, we're doing so much and trying everything that's hard. And the biggest stress that I've had is just thinking that I'm not doing enough for my kids. And it's something that keeps me up at night. I'm talking about my own students in the classroom. It's a big struggle that teachers are going through right now, but we're doing a great job collaborating, definitely through West Bloomfield Schools, and letting everybody stay on the same page. So I'm a big thumbs up to West Bloomfield Schools so far. It's been awesome.
It was a very swift transition from the traditional classroom into virtual classrooms, and it's gone on longer than I think anybody was presuming it initially, from just initial estimates, not knowing what was going to happen with this crisis. How was the transition from a traditional classroom to a virtual classroom from your perspective?
Sure, and I definitely, again, kudos to West Bloomfield Schools on this. We took the Friday before anything really happened off to really have a PD day for our teachers and set up Google Classrooms and online learning through the cloud. That was huge for us. I know my own kid's school district is just getting started doing all that this week, so they've missed out on 3 weeks of instruction from their teachers. I know a lot of other school districts are in that same boat. So by us doing that really helped us with our attendance numbers and being able to keep in contact with all our kids throughout this whole process. So again, big kudos out to West Bloomfield Schools. It's done a great job during this whole transition, and it's really helped with the wellness and well-being of all of our students at the high school and throughout the whole school district.
So school at this point has been declared over for the year by the state government, but schools are still in session virtually at this point. Are you still teaching virtually?
Oh yeah, it's been fun. And again, you just the whole give a mouse a cookie, and they'll keep going. I didn't think it was ever possible for my own students to go on and do a Zoom meeting, and now we're doing Zooms 5 days a week for an hour every day, and we're posting videos on YouTube, different things that are going on, keeping in contact. I have students texting me and giving me phone calls throughout the day, which is picking me up, sending me videos of different things they're doing around the house, vocational tasks that they're working on at home. It's amazing just to see students that we've been working on just developing steps for doing different things like making cookies or doing those types of things. Now they're developing their own way to make cookies. It's really been great to see different things like that.
So you're a special education teacher in the West Bloomfield School District. Having a brother who has special needs and went through a special education program in his K through 12 schooling, this has to be a tough challenge for you as a special education teacher and for your students as well, making this swift adjustment like this. What are some of the struggles that or challenges that you and your students have overcome during this? How have you overcome that, and how does that make you feel that you've seen those students of yours overcome these challenges?
First off, I'll start with the end of it because it's so joyful just to see. I'll get little videos of from parents doing different things where some of the kids get some of the things wrong or doing different things, but they keep working through and they keep using some of the skills that we've really ingrained and really worked with the students on, and it's happening at home, which means I'm sure you can attest to generalization of skills is a huge piece for our population of kids. So now that they're actually in a different environment, the generalization of some of these skills is a huge piece and a huge part of their education program for them, and it's been just fantastic to see. Again, like I said, it's constant. Some of the things that I didn't think was possible for these kids to be able to do and understand and correlate with, they're knocking all this stuff out of the park. It's awesome to see.
That's great to hear. That's amazing to hear, and it's excellent to know that our students, both in the general education classes, so to speak, and in special education, are doing well during this and are adapting and are learning in their own ways that are maybe different than what was done before. So from your angle, how has the normal teaching day changed? What are the benefits and drawbacks of those changes?
Well, for myself, I'm going to share a little bit of insight into what my life looks like. I have a 7-month-old daughter, and then I have 2 boys at home, one in 2nd grade and one in 6th grade. So throughout the day, I become stay-at-home dad, where I'm waking up, feeding baby in the morning. My wife also is home to help too, so I'm not taking all the brunt of this. But also, I become, we both become 2nd grade teachers. We become 6th grade teachers. Then within that, I do a daily Zoom with all of the students in our special education program at 1 o'clock every day. So from there, we develop things like videos that we put together, different things like that. Usually I try to do a virtual field trip for the kids every day where we're going to a different spot. Last night, we actually went on a log shoot ride in the Mall of America. I just pull up different videos on YouTube, and I'll do a screencastify where I'm sitting in there and I kind of talk the kids through the ride and different things going like that. My kids make appearances in those videos and doing those types of things. So sometimes my day can look like it's going from 6 a.m. all the way through one night I was posting videos at about 10:30. So that part's been a little bit stressful, but that was week 1, week 2. Now that we're into week 4, week 5, we've kind of got the process down. The kids like making videos with me and doing those types of things. So we kind of condense it into our day.
it's different now, but you've said it. It's been 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and so on for these students that have been adjusting to this, and for the teachers. Does it feel like kind of like it's kind of reached a norm at this point, or is it still? Is there still kind of a feeling of this is different, and I don't know how this may change things in the future?
So that was definitely one of my biggest fears is the norm, and it becomes a norm, and not necessarily a fear, but necessarily of complacency. And people saying, okay, we're doing this, and almost getting bored with the type of things that are going on. So what we're trying to do is throw in little curveballs all the time with kids, where in my videos, I'll do little shout outs. If a kid gives me a video, sends me a video and does something like that, I'll throw that into one of my videos that I'm making, my daily announcements, just to kind of keep engagement. But definitely, while the norm has been okay, and it's been okay to be a new normal, complacency is definitely a fear that's going on, and definitely looking at the attendance numbers and how that can change.
So going forward, with everything that you've learned, that other teachers at the school district, the students have learned through this process, how do you see education going forward changing because of what we've gone through in this crisis?
So as an educator, now I'll give you an education and a parent view of it also. As an educator, I think this is awesome. It's just going to help people so much. It helps that communication with parents and doing those types of things, especially for my students. So you don't necessarily have to have the kids as a telephone for them and sending things home. Doing that, I can make videos now. I can send out blast emails much easier than I ever did in the past. So those are definitely things that are awesome. As a parent, I'm to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need my kid's teacher back in their life so quickly. Get them back to school as quickly as possible here. As much as I love my kids, it's time for them to get going back before too long. Obviously, when it's safe, not now. I'm a huge advocate of staying where we are right now. But there's definitely two sides of the coin.
There are two sides to the coin, and on that note, that's a great segue into this. You're a special education teacher, you're a teacher, but you're also a athletics coach in the West Bloomfield School District. You coach JV basketball, and you're coach of the unified basketball team. During this time, with athletics, of course, suspended due to social and physical distancing, student athletes are still trying to stay active. They still want to participate in these sports that they love to play and they love to participate in. So for students that are at home during this time and are not able to participate in sports in a regular way, what are some things that you suggest as a coach that they can do from home to continue to engage in what they love to do, but also maintain their safety and maintain proper social and physical distancing?
Yeah, and that's like, again, with my own kids at home and my teams that I coach at the school, the biggest thing that we've done is just, your mind is your biggest asset in any game that you're playing. Keeping your mind right, keeping your mind straight, doing other things that strengthen your mind are definitely big parts of it. You can always add on to the physical aspects. You can spend more time in the weight room when this is done. You can spend more time doing different things like that when it's done. But, keeping your mind active, keeping your mind healthy is definitely a huge piece of the puzzle right now. And big part of that is through communication, being able to talk to somebody throughout the day. I know I text a lot of the guys on my JV basketball team, and I text even past players that I've had that are off at colleges now. Some kids are, stuck at different states at different colleges. And that's a huge struggle. And then for the physical aspect of it, if you can get out, do some sit-ups, do some push-ups. I know I do make my kids run 20 laps around the backyard every day, trying to get them into a mile. Different things like that are definitely huge pieces, but communication and keeping that mindset. Of course, my son wanted to mention too that we do the PS4 online, and we play little Madden or 2K against some of my kids too. So
it's very nice, and engages them in the games they love in a different way also. Sure. We got to get a little 2K or tournament going or something here throughout West Bloomfield. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'd participate in that. I'm a big 2K player. I like that too. I also play Madden. I'm not very good at Madden as opposed to 2K. I'm decent there, but I love that idea. Maybe we can get the ball rolling on that here in the near future. So you mentioned for students keeping their minds active, and to tailor that to sports. In regards to the sports that they love to play, that they enjoy playing, that they miss playing at this point in time, what can they do to engage their mind in regards to that sport? What do you suggest? What resources maybe are available to help them engage their mind, learn something new about what they love to do while they're not able to play?
Sure. And something that I've been preaching to my kids at home is watching some of those old sports that are on TV. See how the game's changed so much. See what's adapted and see how different people have adapted. NBA is a great asset to see how much it's changed. Where you could basically maul people in the late 70s, early 80s, to the point now where if you put 2 hands on somebody, it's a foul. So definitely seeing things like that, how different things are adjusting in life is just something you can learn. Watch old film of themselves. We post things on Huddle, doing those types of things all the time too. So.
Well, that's great. Jed Jones, special education teacher and basketball coach, JV basketball coach at West Bloomfield High School. Anything else that you'd like to say? Any other important information that maybe we didn't touch on that you'd like to speak of today?
No, I just want to say stay healthy, stay safe. To everybody out there, I hope you're staying home and doing your part, because this is going to be done before we know it, but it's still going to be a journey. So stay home, stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you. And to you as well, Jed Jones, special education teacher and basketball coach in the West Bloomfield School District, joining us on the Megacast on Civic Center TV. And now we're going to take a quick pause for the cause to keep everybody legal here. We're on 89.3 WBLD, Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, 88.1 WBFH, Bloomfield Hills, that's 88.1 The Biff, and 89.5 WAHS, Auburn Hills, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, as well as on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, online in high definition at civiccentertv.com, where you can also watch all of these episodes and interviews on demand on our website. It'll be up later on in the day at civiccentertv.com. You'll click on the link that says Megacast, and there is everything you want to see. If you miss an interview, if you heard something interesting and you want to go back and you don't want to have to scroll through the full episode, we have it all there for you. We've thought ahead. Smart people over here at our operation. A lot of people working really hard on what we're doing here at 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com, Civic Center TV, and our family of stations here on the Megacast. We're going to take a short break. I'll give you some news updates, and then we are standing by with our next guest on the show. That is Jeff Jimson from the Idea Labs at Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham. You are watching and listening to the Megacast on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH The Biff, as well as on WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. We will be right back.
I know you're concerned about the coronavirus, and we're working hard to combat its spread and keep your family safe. But we need your help too. Wash your hands often with soap for at least 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face and cough into your sleeve. Replace handshakes with an elbow bump. Avoid large crowds or events, and if you're sick, stay home and call your health provider. Every one of us can make a difference limiting the virus's spread and keeping Michigan healthy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonay Khaldun. I'm the Chief Medical Executive for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The people who are at highest risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19 are the elderly and those with chronic medical conditions. That includes people with heart disease, diabetes, COPD, or those who have compromised immune systems. People who are in those categories should right now be staying at home as much as possible and not going out if it is not essential. If you fit into one of those categories, those are the things you should do. And if you have a family member who fits into one of those categories, you should be checking in on them and making sure they are following those guidelines. There's something everyone can do to protect the community from COVID-19.
You're watching and listening to the Megacast, Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, 88.1 WBFH The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District, as well as WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. That is service of Avondale Schools. I'm Tyler Kieft, joining you now in the second hour of our program. The Megacast, Oakland County Megacast, serving the Oakland County community, providing local news to you that you need to know. You can get the national news, and I encourage you to watch the national news, watch the general local news, but you're not getting anything like this anywhere else. This is in your backyard, information that you need to know, people that you should probably know about or would be good for you to know about, and things that you can get involved in to help the community, and that's what we're all about here. We're also about keeping you informed and making news today on a national level. NPR, National Public Radio, is reporting more small business and hospital aid is coming in new legislation, about $483 billion in new funding, as we can see here on this handy-dandy article on civiccentertv.com. About $483 billion in new funding is expected to be going through Congress at the moment. The Senate approved the small business and hospital aid by unanimous consent. And what unanimous consent is, it's basically a vote by the Senate that says as long as nobody disapproves of this bill, it will pass. If one person does disagree and one person says, no, I'm not interested, then it is automatically rejected. In this case, all senators did approve that. So it passed by unanimous consent in the Senate. I just expect House leaders had planned to vote for Thursday of this week to address that bill. I've seen $483 billion. I've seen $484 billion in virus aid in attachment to that bill. Here are some of the numbers. Approximately $322 billion of that will be additional money for the small business programs that went dry recently, that most notably being the Paycheck Protection Program, $60 billion for small business disaster loans and grants, $75 billion for emergency funding for hospitals, and about $25 billion to go toward the costs of COVID-19 testing. That article from National Public Radio. Additionally, big news from the White House this week. The president announced suspending green card immigration due to COVID-19 and in efforts to protect jobs in the country. It's a 60-day suspension. The president said, quote, "To protect American workers, I will be issuing a temporary suspension of immigrating into the United States," he said Tuesday at his White House briefing. The president says this will not impact people already in the country on a temporary basis, only those applying for a green card in order to stay beyond their temporary approved time, or those applying to come into the country on a green card otherwise. To note, most visa processing during this has been suspended. It's been on pause by the State Department for weeks. In response to this decision by the president, the American Civil Liberties Union's Andrea Flores was quoted saying that Trump is, quote, "more interested in fanning anti-immigration flames than in saving lives. We are not taking any angle here on the Megacast. I'm just giving you both sides of that story." Also in national news, the Washington Post recently conducted a survey that reported 1 in 10 nursing homes in the U.S. are reporting coronavirus cases, according to the data collected by the Washington Post of about 1,300 nursing homes nationwide. That is just some more information coming in from the national basis. And of course, big local news yesterday coming in the morning as Beaumont Health System announced a significant amount of layoffs. You can watch that video as you see on TV. I'm on the front page on CivicCenterTV.com. We have that video of the full Zoom conference featuring John Fox, the CEO of Beaumont Health, as well as the press yesterday, where he addressed a significant $278.4 billion loss by Beaumont Health System. $1 million loss by Beaumont Health System in the first quarter of the year. $278.4 million loss in the first quarter of the year. 2,475 employees were laid off of their 38,000 total employees. That's about 6.5% of employees in the company. They were offered severance packages and benefits options for those on severance packages, and most of those who were laid off were administrative and non-direct care staffers. In addition, 450 positions at Beaumont Health were permanently eliminated, and on the executive level, CEO John Fox announced he will be taking a 70% pay cut during this time, and other executives may have their pay cut upwards of 45%. That's the bulk of the big national and state stories coming in thus far today. And of course, later on today, 3 o'clock p.m., the governor of the state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, will address the press again, and we will have that for you on Lakes FM and on Civic Center TV. Earlier on in the week, she did address the press alongside Dr. Jonay Caldoun, but would not commit to anything beyond April 30th, when the last day of this current stay-at-home order, or May 1st, however you want to call it, which is the first day beyond this current executive order. She did have plenty of interviews throughout this week, earlier on and yesterday, regarding what her plans may be, but there's not any direct or specific information coming from Lansing just yet about what's going to happen. Maybe we'll see and hear that today. Maybe it will be later on in the week. Maybe it won't be till next week as we're getting down to the wire. That's all speculative at this point, but we're still awaiting the end of the stay-at-home order, which is currently scheduled to expire next week on April 30th on Thursday, a week from tomorrow. In the meantime, we're going to continue to provide you all the news that you need to know from your local community here in Oakland County on the Oakland County Megacast on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, and the BIF 88.1 WBFH. Coming up next, we are just moments away from an interview with a very creative and very hands-on individual, an Ideal Labs supervisor from Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham. We'll speak to Jeff Jimison coming up after this short break. You are watching and listening to the Megacast on our family of stations, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, the BIF 88.1 WBFH, 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, and of course, you are watching us on Civic Center TV, Comcast Channel 15, AT&T Channel 99, and on the web in high definition on civiccentertv.com. We'll be back with Jeff Jimison after this break.
Hello, I'm Dr. Faust, Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. Coronavirus disease 2019, or COVID-19, is a new disease caused by a new respiratory virus named SARS-CoV-2. COVID-19 was first identified in December 2019. There is currently no vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease 2019. The best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to this virus. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after going to the bathroom, before eating, and after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces using a regular household cleaning spray or wipe. Avoid close contact with people who are sick, and avoid touching your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in the trash. Finally, stay home when you're sick. For more information about coronavirus disease 2019, go to oakgov.com/health or call 1-800-848-5533.
You're watching and listening to the Megacast, Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, and our partnering radio stations, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, 88.1 WBFH, the BIF out of the Bloomfield Hills School District, located up on Long Lake Road in Bloomfield Hills, just before Telegraph Road. Their stations under the normal operations would be bustling there at this time of day, but at this point in time, with students out, they are joining us here, and we are so glad to have these partnering radio stations on board. It's our duty as community radio stations, as community media, to participate in informing the community as best as we possibly can, and through partnerships with stations like the BIF and with stations like Avondale Community Radio at WAHS, we're able to do that in a more effective way, and be able to expand our coverage area and keep more people informed. We are absolutely thrilled to be able to do that. We are also absolutely thrilled to be joined by someone who's doing some very helpful things for our community and our surrounding area during this time. At the Baldwin Public Library, normally you would see Jeff Jimison as the Ideal Labs supervisor. Now you may see him next to his 3D printer doing some very interesting projects to help people in our community. We welcome him to the program now. Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
So first off, during normal times, what can people expect to experience at the Baldwin Public Library's Ideal Labs?
So the Idea Lab is a makerspace. And if you're not familiar with the term makerspace, it's basically a public workshop. We have all kinds of tools and equipment that anyone from anywhere can use to work on their own physical projects. So our 3D printers are very popular. We print all kinds of things for anyone, toys and trinkets, prototypes for inventions, replacement parts for things that have broken, stuff like that. And a whole slew of other equipment. Our laser cutter is very popular. And we also teach classes and do special programming to sort of entertain and educate and edify.
So during this time, like many other things, the Idea Labs is closed. It's gone through a bit of a transition.
Yes.
But still very active. So what's been going on during the COVID-19 crisis at the Idea Labs at the Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham?
Well, the lab itself is closed, so there hasn't been really any activity in that physical space. Okay. But when the library shut down due to COVID, I recognized a need to continue some sort of production. So I actually took some of the 3D printers home with me so that I could work on some Idea Lab projects, internal things. And shortly after, I was contacted by one of our patrons, actually, a regular user of the Idea Lab. And he asked if I might be interested in using some of the lab's equipment and resources to produce protective equipment for first responders. And he had actually taken a design for a face shield, the headpiece of which can be 3D printed. And he had modified it a bit for added comfort. And he sent that model to me and asked if we could start printing those out. And I thought that was a great idea. So I went and retrieved the rest of the lab's 3D printers. I brought them home, set them up in my garage. And since then, my garage has been kind of a little protection equipment factory, just churning out 3D printed headbands. And the headbands use an acetate sheet, like an overhead transparency sheet, which clips onto the front and acts as the actual shield. And it's sort of the first line of defense against aerosolized virus.
So, with that being the case, you brought all those 3D printers home. I don't know anything about 3D printers. Are they big? Are they heavy? How many do you currently have in your garage? Is it what is this? What is a 3D printer in terms of size, in terms of operation? What does it do?
In the world, there's a huge variety of different types of 3D printers, and they come in all sizes. The ones that we use in the lab, they're called FDM printers. It stands for filament deposition modeling. And basically what that means is you have a big old spool of plastic filament, like a thin plastic cord, and the printer melts that down, and out of a little metal nozzle, it extrudes line by line and layer by layer three-dimensional objects. So our printers have what they call a build area of about 220 millimeters cubed. So it's a cube, about a foot in every dimension. And anything that will fit inside that theoretical cube can be printed up and built up over time using this thermoplastic. So we have 5 of them, and they're churning away in my garage. And it's not just the lab that's involved in this. As soon as the crisis began, the entire 3D printing community kind of sprang into action. And you immediately began to see designs for face masks and face shields and respirator valves and all sorts of important, vital aspects for protection and for healthcare workers, things like that. You started to see these designs springing up and being shared freely among the 3D printing community. So we at Baldwin just kind of hopped on the bandwagon and decided to put our resources to use to help with that endeavor.
So I imagine that these PPE, and again, I'm just a novice. I don't know much of anything about any of this specifically, just kind of a blanket idea. A lot of these PPE, I would presume that they have very, very set specs that need to be met, especially if they're going to be going to these first responders and these frontline workers. How does, as opposed to crafting by hand or in another method, how does using a 3D printer help you meet those specifications? And as far as the timeliness of creating these devices, how does it help to expedite that?
Well, that's a pretty good question. There are a lot of, you can 3D print just about any kind of shape, but the resulting 3D printed object, it has certain qualities that for some devices make it less than ideal. Things like respirator valves, things like face masks. You can 3D print them, but a lot of hospitals aren't accepting them because of the nature of the part itself. 3D printed objects are a little like wood. They have a grain and they have pores, and that porosity makes them difficult to sterilize. And the reason why face shields are an ideal thing to 3D print is the actual business end of the shield is an impermeable acetate sheet. And the 3D component is only the headband that holds the sheet in front of the face. So the headband itself, the decontaminating capacity of that piece is relatively unimportant compared to the impermeable sheet, which is actually what's going to be stopping the germs from reaching the face and can be sterilized and reused pretty much indefinitely.
So that's a great process, and that's a very interesting process that you're going through there. So you're making making these face shields, you're making this PPE. About how many of these shields are you making per day? Who are you delivering them to?
Another good question. So it's in our immediate group of volunteers. We have about 11 3D printers. There's the 5 that I've got. And there's several others owned by different members of the community, including most notably our original lab user who approached me with this whole idea. His name's Tommy, and a friend of his named Alex. And between the 4 or 5 of us, we've got about 11 or 12 3D printers all working. And with the 3D printed face shields, we're making about 200 a day. But luckily, in addition to the 3D printed production, we were able to team up with a company in Farmington Hills called Polyflex. And they're an automotive packaging manufacturer, and they have a huge facility set up to do injection molding, which is a different kind of manufacturing for rapidly producing objects out of plastic. They were generous enough to donate us a mold, which is quite an expensive and time-consuming thing to produce, but they donated their tooling and their machinery to produce this mold to create face shields at an extremely high rate of speed. So in addition to the 200 per day that we're all able to 3D print, they're also injection molding on our behalf around 1,500 a day. So, about 2,000 shields a day all together being produced. And that's thanks to, yes, donations from Polyflex and from other local companies donating the plastic for the shields, the raw materials for the injection molding. And these shields are going out all over town. Pretty much every major hospital system in the Metro Detroit area has received some shields from us. Beaumont, Henry Ford, Ascension, the DMC, as well as non-hospitals, other medical facilities that are still open and serving emergency, for emergency situations, ambulance services like MedStar EMS, nursing facilities and senior homes, even the Oakland County Jail. It's amazing the need. Requests continue to pour in. Even though we've been doing this for weeks, we get probably about a dozen requests per day for these shields.
Wow, that's really interesting. Did I hear you right that you said you're making 1,500 of those a day?
Yes. It's a full-on production. And it's highly automated as well. There's very little human interaction involved in the manufacturing process there at Polyflex. The machines that mold the plastic headbands are entirely automated. The machines that trim the sprues, which are basically like auxiliary components that are discarded in the manufacturing process, these big machines come up with cutters and they snip those off and discard them. And there's a big robot arm that picks them up and packages them, puts them in boxes and gets them ready for us to distribute.
So with all that, you mentioned that the robot arm that packages them up, it keeps the process very sterile as well. I mean, and that's very important.
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the first things we ran into in our 3D printed face shield production was the sterilization. At first, we were sterilizing each shield by hand using an isopropyl alcohol solution. But as time goes on, isopropyl becomes very difficult to source. But one of the sort of convenient things about COVID is that on surfaces, it has a limited lifespan. So what we've been doing for our 3D printed shields is printing them, kitting them up into bags of about 10 each, dating them, and just leaving them be for 3 to 5 days before distributing them to their destination. And that gives them some, some modicum of decontamination that's better than nothing.
So you're creating face shields, 1,500 of those a day. Great PPE that you're providing to organizations that absolutely need them on the front lines every single day. Are you producing any other PPE at the moment, or anything else that's non-COVID related still with those 3D printers?
Well, with the lab's 3D printers, everything we're making is somehow COVID related. The only actual PPE that we're producing is the shields. But I was recently contacted by a group that is sewing cloth masks for distribution to anyone in the area who needs them. And they asked me if I could print an object called a pleat jig. You've probably seen the cloth masks, and they have 3 little folds in the front that allow them to expand and cover the face. Those pleats can be made by hand, but the process of folding them and ironing them flat is labor intensive and time consuming. And there's a 3D printed object that you can make that you basically lay a piece of cloth in there and you clamp these 2 halves together, and it automatically folds the cloth into the correct pleating configuration so that you just stitch up the sides and you're done. It really increases the rate of speed for them to produce these masks. And so currently my 3D printers, or I should say the lab's 3D printers in my garage, are producing about 120 of those pleat jigs at the moment.
So you're producing PPE or helping to produce PPE of many different kinds, hundreds of the masks, thousands of the masks, 1,500 every single day, helping to produce those the pleated portions of those masks. For the organizations that are providing other PPE, for the organizations that your PPE is being provided to, what's the response been like with this profound amount of objects that are being created by the 3D printers every single day?
Well, as you can imagine, it's been very positive. We haven't received any negative feedback. I'm always pleased to see on our Facebook group that we have for this endeavor, first responders, after they receive the face shields, they'll generally put them on and take a group photo or something like that. And we've seen some very happy people, happy to have a little bit extra protection there that they wouldn't have been able to source otherwise due to scarcity or due to just the expense. And so we're getting a lot of positive responses from doctors and nurses and people all over, even individuals. It's been very nice, very encouraging.
That's really good to hear. I'm glad that you're making such a great impact, and it's being felt, and it's being well received, and people need these on the front lines to be able to treat this disease, treat this virus, and hopefully stop it sooner rather than later. When things do return to normal at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, what can people do to get involved, or how can they get involved at the Idea Labs at the Baldwin Public Library?
Well, the Idea Lab is one of the rare maker spaces that's truly open to the public. There's no residency requirements. There's no age limits. You don't have to have a library card. Anyone from anywhere can come to the lab and use our equipment, use our services to learn and to make things. It's a very warm and welcoming and active space. I tell people that the only real prerequisite to use the Idea Lab is that you are a human being. That's all it takes.
That's a great prerequisite requirement. And I think there's a lot of people out there that can fulfill that.
Yep.
And,
check that box.
Yeah.
Come on into the lab and get a chance to explore your creativity. You can work on projects that are highly technical. You can work on art projects. There's something for everyone in the Idea Lab.
And where can people find more information about that?
Check out our website. That's baldwinlib.org/idealab. That's where we have our list of equipment. We have a calendar of events, things like that. And coming up fairly soon, I'm sure that we'll start to see some virtual programming there. where people will have an opportunity to still participate in some Idea Lab activities, but from home.
All right, Jeff Jimison joining us today on the Megacast, the Idea Lab Supervisor at Baldwin Public Library out of Birmingham. Anything else that you'd like to say to us, Jim, or anything else we may have not touched on that you'd like to touch on before we let you go?
Well, one of the things that's made this entire effort of face shield production possible are the generous donations from communities, from individuals, from businesses. And so if anyone is interested in participating, check out our website. Just visit baldwinlib.org. Right there on the main page, there is an option to donate to our COVID-19 relief efforts. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in making a donation to do so. That will help us keep this process going for as long as the need exists.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Jeff Jimison, Idea Lab Supervisor, Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham, joining us on the Megacast on Civic Center TV, Comcast Channel 15, AT&T Channel 99, on the web in crisp high definition on civiccentertv.com, as well as on our radio partners 89.3 Lakes FM, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, and 88.1 WBFH the BIF. Now, there's a simple survey, and coming up soon, we're going to talk about it. There's a simple survey that you can fill out in just a few minutes, and it has a huge impact on your community and programs and funding for local communities all throughout the state, the county, and, of course, the country. We'll get more information on that from a local clerk coming up. Debbie Binder from West Bloomfield will talk to us coming up in just a few minutes, and more news coming up as well. You are listening to and watching the Megacast on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, as well as on our partnering radio stations, the BIF 88.1 WBFH out of Bloomfield Hills School District, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio from the Avondale Schools. We'll be right back after these messages.
Our top priority remains slowing the spread of COVID-19 in our communities. Please stay home, and when you must go out to an essential business, take precautions like social distancing and washing your hands when you come home. Because of the pandemic, we are behind in our response rate in Michigan. While you are home, please take a few minutes to fill out the census. It is more important than ever that we receive money back from our federal government. The census is Oakland Together.
The Centers for Disease Control and Oakland County Health Division encourages households to prepare for the possibility of a coronavirus outbreak in their community. Keep extra items in your house for an extended stay at home. Remember any special food items for babies, the elderly, and pets. Keep non-prescription drugs and other health supplies on hand, such as personal medications, at least 1 month's supply, first aid kits, alcohol-based hand sanitizer, at least 60% alcohol, non-mercury thermometer, and get copies and maintain electronic versions of health records. Talk with family members about how they would be cared for if they got sick and what would be needed to care for them in your home. Learn about the plan at your child's school and your workplace. Discuss sick leave policies and/or telework options for workers who become ill. For more information, go to oakgov.com/health or call our Nurse on Call hotline at 1-800-848-5533.
Coronavirus is deadly, but Michigan can fight back. Our front doors are the front lines of defense. Staying home is the best way to stop the spread, because just one infected person can give it to 40, who can give it to countless more. So call Grandma, don't visit. Video chat, don't meet up. And if you must go out for food or medicine, keep at least 6 feet from others. Stay home, stay safe, stop the spread.
It's the Megacast on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. I'm Tyler Keefe, thanking you for continuing to join us on today's program, where we deliver news that Oakland County needs to hear at this point in time. It's a developing situation. COVID-19 changes. It seems like the information is changing every day as we adjust to this new normal and continue to adjust to what's around us to help hopefully get us all out of this as soon as we possibly can. There's so much news that it's tough to keep up to what's going on in your backyard, but we have a very helpful resource for you here. CivicCenterTV.com. I'll go to our homepage. I'll start from the beginning. CivicCenterTV.com. We have all local news and information, upcoming events. Normally, of course, a lot's canceled during this time, and major clips from our recent episodes of the Megacast. So we have our full episode from yesterday. We have Beaumont Health and their CEO, John Fox, who addressed the press yesterday about their layoff. We have information from the Small Business Association of Michigan talking about Rob Fowler, their CEO, talking about how business community has been struggling during this crisis. And we have all your local news stories that you need to hear right here in the Oakland County area on CivicCenterTV.com/coronavirus. You click on coronavirus, it brings you to this page that you see on your screen. If you don't see on your screen because you're listening on the radio, I encourage you to go there at a later time and check out all this information. We've got individual municipalities, West Bloomfield, Bloomfield Hills, Troy, Pontiac, Orchard Lake Village, Auburn Hills, and more that you can get helpful information from directly from the sources of those municipalities, as well as other national, state, and county news on our front page. For example, calls to poison control have risen amongst COVID-19 outbreak. There have been increased reports and call-ins to poison control during all this. The CDC urges people not to mix chemicals or products to wear protective gear when cleaning your home. So we have more information there. If we click on this article, it'll take us to click on Detroit, and they have an article there and presumably a video report where they will talk to experts about what we can avoid in the home, what steps to avoid, what chemicals maybe to be very careful with or avoid altogether as we clean our homes, so we can continue to keep our surfaces and our areas safe and clean from the coronavirus, without hurting ourselves in the process, of course. We also have a link here to this very interesting map from Oakland County that provides COVID-19 percentages by zip code throughout the Oakland County area. If we zoom out here, we got the full scope of Oakland County. We can zoom in, and there's different outcomes depending on where you're at. The lighter colors here, if you're watching on TV and listening on the radio, these lighter colors you will see on this map if you do eventually look at it, indicate lesser concentration of COVID-19 cases per 10,000 people. The darker the shade of blue, the more intense the positive cases per 1,000 people are, ranging from, on this map, less than 1 to above 52 cases. We can click on any community here if we want to check out what's going on, let's say in Lake Angeles. What's the map looking like there? You can click on Lake Angeles. It'll give you a specific zip code. Any of the zip codes in Lake Angeles give you the total cases, death, population size, positive cases per 10,000 people rate, which corresponds to the color signature on this map. So very helpful information that you can get without having to search all around for and not knowing what you're maybe finding, what's right, what's not right, what's the one you're looking for. We have it right here for you on CivicCenterTV.com. Other news including Birmingham food workers who are keeping children fed during the COVID-19 crisis. We got an article there that gives you information on another heartwarming story of people helping others in the community. Patty Guck and her team at Birmingham schools have upped their meal production to help the community, and they're making up to 1,000 meals a day. We talk about food insecurity earlier on in the show with Lea Luger and with Wren Hack, and here we are. We have Birmingham schools working together to help keep people fed. 1,000 meals per day is absolutely profound. That's if you're cutting that into the 3 square meals philosophy, so to speak. That's 300 people that you can provide food for. 333 people and a third, if you're rounding down, 333 people a day that you can provide those meals to that may otherwise not be able to eat regularly during the day. That's absolutely huge. And in other news coming through to us today that you can also find on CivicCenterTV.com/coronavirus, as well as in other locations. Oakland County, we have this article here that leads into that map I showed you earlier. Oakland County is seeing saw the fifth consecutive day with less than 1,000 new COVID-19 cases. The last time there were less than 1,000 a day was April 16th. There were 967 cases reported Tuesday, and the current total cases in Oakland County is 6,306, with 506 deaths in the county. Making other news across the state is, of course, Governor Gretchen Whitmer will address the state in the press conference today at 3 o'clock. She seems to be doing that about every other day at this point to keep the communities throughout the state of Michigan up to date on what is going on with the state's response to COVID-19 as we approach the end of her extended stay-at-home order. Still a question of, is it going to continue? Is the governor going to push for it to continue? Is the legislature going to push back on that? Are they going to reach some sort of compromise? And what's going to go on as far as reopening the economy, so to speak, in the future? Those questions might be answered at 3 o'clock. We'll have the press conference for you. I can't make any guarantees. I'm just speculating at this point. We expected that on Monday. We didn't get it. We're expecting it today. Maybe it'll come, maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be later on in the week or early on next week. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot to plan for because you can't just snap your fingers and reopen the economy and reopen everything and end the stay-at-home order. You do that, you're putting everyone at risk. There has to be some sort of healthy medium there, and the legislature, the governor, local municipalities are hard at work around the clock to make sure that that's going to be able to be executed as safely as possible because the coronavirus isn't going away once we reopen the economy. The curve has been flattening, so to speak, but as Greg Flynn said on the show yesterday, that does not mean that this is over. It's still we still have a ways to go before we're completely out of the woods on this. But one way that you can help your community, your municipality in the future is through filling out a simple survey. And we will speak to West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder about what that is, how you can fill it out, and how that makes an impact on municipalities coming up just after this short break. You are watching the Megacast on Civic Center TV, and you are listening to the Megacast on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com. 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. We will be right back with Debbie Binder.
Hello, I'm Dr. Betty Chu, Chief Quality Officer at Henry Ford Health System, and I'm with Wright Lassiter, Henry Ford Health System's CEO, to talk about coronavirus.
In uncertain times, it's natural to have questions. So I'm going to ask Dr. Chu to answer some of the common ones. First, why can't I visit my grandma to see if she's okay?
Because the elderly are at a higher risk for complications with this disease, and you could inadvertently infect her.
If I'm healthy, why can't I go out with my friends?
The larger the crowd you're exposed to, the higher the chance you could get infected and infect others.
If I have symptoms, why do I have to seek care?
While the disease isn't dangerous for most people, for others it can be. We need to understand how serious your case is, because the right choices save lives. For more information, visit henryford.com or call 313-874-1055.
You're listening to the Megacast, 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and of course 89.3 Lakes FM, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. You're also watching us on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, and you may be watching this also on CivicCenterTV.com on our Watch Live player in high definition. If you're doing that, I appreciate that. Thank you for tolerating my presence on the show today in high definition. It's a tough challenge, but you know what? I take what I can get, so I appreciate that. Something else that you can get involved in, and I encourage you to get involved in it, is the U.S. Census. Filling out your U.S. Census form if you have a city parade, city programs such as in West Bloomfield, Household Hazardous Waste Program. These all take funding. And a lot of that funding is impacted by population numbers, and that's why the U.S. Census is absolutely vital. Here, I'm going to put a graphic up for just a quick second here. This is a graphic that was provided by Debbie Binder, the West Bloomfield Township Clerk, that is about U.S. Census response rates in Oakland County. And depending on how Oakland County municipalities respond to that, their population is going to be conducted and marked down by the U.S. Census Bureau. That can impact some programs in your community. So it's absolutely paramount that people fill out the U.S. Census. And now we're joined by West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder to talk to us about just how vital that is to municipalities. Debbie, welcome to the Megacast.
Hi, Tyler. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Before we get into the census, I just want to get a little bit of an update on how things are going in West Bloomfield. You're still conducting your work for the township as the clerk. How is West Bloomfield doing right now?
We had filing deadline yesterday. It's been a busy week. It's going to be a busy time in the clerk's office as we are awaiting direction for the August 4th primary. So we're just kind of waiting for direction, but we are working. We are answering phones and available to any residents who need to be served. So if they do call, they will get a person.
And right now, currently, one of the bigger efforts that you're making is informing the community in your municipality about the U.S. Census. So we've probably heard all about the census at some point recently. I've heard you and other community leaders in the area have talked about the importance of residents filling that out. For those unfamiliar, how does the U.S. Census affect municipalities?
It helps shape the future. And one important thing to remember is you get one shot at this every 10 years. So whatever comes back are the numbers that are used for the next 10 years. They affect things like representation in Congress and legislative boundaries and things. So Michigan's looking at losing one seat in Congress in the House of Representatives next year. That also affects the number of delegates to the Electoral College. So it's important from that perspective to a community, but it also has a lot of effect, as you had mentioned right beforehand, that and money that comes in, federal funding that comes in for different things like hospitals, libraries, school lunches, things when you talk about hunger. And an important one, like we're experiencing now with disaster, when there's any kind of a problem or a state of emergency, federal dollars are based on your census numbers, as well as being used, the demographics are used to attract businesses based on what your population is. So when you look at all of the things that are predicated on census and the population, to not have a good turnout for a census is concerning.
So I recently filled out my census, albeit it was
easy.
Late. It was very easy. I filled it out just absolutely awfully late. And after I did fill it out, I realized that it takes maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you're really putting any sort of effort into it, or if you have a family and you have to take an extended survey. But before I got that, I kept getting letters in the mail from the Census Bureau that mentioned that, and this is a quote from it, that the census response is, quote, required by law.
Yes.
Will someone be penalized for not filling out the census form?
The question is are they going to go after those specific things of not filling it out? But it is something that is required by law. There was some hesitation this year because there was a question of the citizenship question that is not on. And another important thing that people do need to know in the township is that by law, your census answers are protected as confidential information for 72 years. So whatever you answer, that demographic data is used to create an overall demographic for a community, but the answers specifically are protected for 72 years. So that's where, do I think they're going to go prosecute people who don't respond? No, I don't think they have the resources to do that, but it is something that is required by law, as is conducting the census itself.
So on a municipal level, for every citizen that is not counted, what does that put at risk as far as community programs, community services?
They've quantified it to be about $18,000 per person that is counted over the 10-year period. It's about $1,800 a year of money that comes in if they were to take account for any kind of federal funding. They're going to base that on, it works out to about $1,800 per person. Now, obviously, we're at, as I sent you the graphic, we're just over 66% right now response. And if, we have now the good news is they did extend based on COVID. The deadline was extended from July 31st to October 31st. So it gives us a few extra months to get a higher response rate. Last census, we had about 77% response rate. But again, all of your funding and all of your representation is based on 77% of your population. And I just think West Bloomfield can do better. I know we can. We're an engaged community that cares about our lifestyle, that cares about our resources. And I think that a lot of people do want to get out there and answer the census. And I hope that, they think they're waiting for a letter. And I have spoken with people who never received their letter. You don't have to wait for that letter. You can go online to census.gov. Let me actually make sure I'm giving you the exact correct one, is 2020census.gov, and you can fill it out without having a letter in hand. It will take the information, and it is critical. Again, funding is based on that percentage that participates, and they're looking for we are looking for a high participation rate. And as that graph I showed you, we're right in the middle. I really do think we should be toward the top of it and know that we can. So I challenge everybody that's out there to please respond to your census, whether it's online, by paper, or by phone. You have all three as options this year.
West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder joining us via Zoom on the Megacast 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH The Biff, WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, and on TV on Civic Center TV, Comcast Channel 15, AT&T Channel 99, and online in HD on CivicCenterTV.com. So to bring it back to West Bloomfield specifically, to your municipality, Debbie, what are some programs in West Bloomfield specifically that are potentially going to be impacted by these census numbers?
Okay, I don't know specifically which federal programs, because some of them come around at emergency times. So a lot of it has to do with emergency funding. Representation in Congress will directly affect West Bloomfield Township, because if the state loses, we're all losing representation, as well as redrawing district boundaries. Legislative and school district boundaries are affected by the census population. I don't believe our household hazardous waste day is, but if we were to declare an emergency and needed funding, it would affect it. And the other important thing, again, is what we use to attract businesses. Businesses, when they decide where they want to locate, are looking for population and demographics that fit the profile of where they want to be. And if we don't have an accurate profile, we're not going to look attractive to the businesses that we may want to attract.
So from a future perspective, the census does impact the future of the community on a business sense, on a recreation sense, and especially in times like these and emergencies, it really does have a big effect on the future going forward several years for those communities.
And that's the important thing, Tyler, I think, is that it's for the next 10 years. You don't get a second shot at it. So whatever numbers are garnered during this census is what they're going to use for the next 10 years. I would like to see us get beyond the 77% from last time. I'd like us to get to 100%, but I know that may not be realistic. But I would like to see as high of a turnout as possible, because those are the numbers that will affect so many things that do directly or indirectly affect the township and our resources and our lifestyle.
So if anyone in West Bloomfield or even in other municipalities is having issues filling out their census form or getting that information, knowing where to go and what's safe information for them to give, if they have any issues with that, who can they contact for help?
They can call the clerk's office and we can guide them to the right place. Again, it's not being done at a local level. It's being done at the federal government. So in terms of actually helping them, we can't provide that assistance, but we can make sure that they're going to the correct website and interacting with the correct questionnaire, so they're filling out information that is accurate and being directed to the right census organization that will protect it for 72 years. So that, I would say, call the clerk's office, or the easiest thing is to go to 2020census.gov. And there are so many resources available there, and so much information on how the data is used, why it's important, how it affects my community. There's all sorts of graphics to help people get out and share on their social media to help engage others to get involved. So I would say the best place to start is 2020census.gov. Another great place, like the graphic I sent you, was SEMCOG, the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments. They have that nice little tracker that shows where we are in the middle of that pack, but they have a lot of links to good information too. So I would say that those are two of your most reputable places to look for census information, 2020census.gov and the SEMCOG, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments website.
So we're just running just a couple more minutes left to go in the show, Debbie. So before we go, one thing that's that maybe thought of when you think of the census is the people that are going out and canvassing door to door for those that don't fill out online. During this unprecedented time, are we going to be seeing canvassers going out anytime soon? Or is the Census Bureau, do you know if that's going to be happening at all?
That's a great question, Tyler. And that was one of the things that originally they were going to be coming door to door regardless. They did delay that as well. But I think that will be addressed as things continue to progress with COVID. But their intent is to go door to door to those who have not responded via email or via the website or phone or the online. So they will start to go door to door. So that should be a good motivator that if you don't want people coming door to door, respond online or via the phone, and you won't get a visit at your door. I would reiterate that those visits are going to be delayed based on COVID, but they will be coming out in the field and doing those numbers. They have all sorts of engaged census workers and community field organizers trying to get the maximum count for each community. And they will be out trying to get those door to door for people who are called non-responders, non-self-responders. They are looking to increase the self-response rates. And the number I sent you is the self-response rate so far.
All right. Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk, thank you for joining us on the Megacast 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, as well as on Civic Center TV, talking about the census. It's absolutely huge, people. To fill out the U.S. Census, it impacts your community. $1,800 per person was the rate that Debbie had said was about the estimated rate of how much of an impact it can have on your community. You have an October 31st deadline, and you can fill it all out online. This impacts your community for the next 10 years. Debbie, just a moment. She has one more little thing to chime in here. Debbie, what's that you had to say?
For anybody who doesn't follow the clerk's office Facebook page, do follow that, because I'm working really hard to keep that updated with information on the census, as well as the link to the census.2020census.gov is always on there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Debbie. We've enjoyed having you on the Megacast, and we'll talk to you very soon. Debbie Binder, the West Bloomfield Township Clerk. And before we go today, I haven't said this enough during the broadcast. We have also been broadcasting on the Facebook page for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. They have been such a great partner with us. Last week, Thursday, when I hosted the show, we had Suzanne Levine on. They're doing absolutely great programs. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, you can look them up online and get involved in their programs and help your local businesses. They're doing a lot of great work. You can also find them on Facebook on West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. They've been our Facebook partner today. They are such a fantastic organization to work with, and we have enjoyed working with all our local chambers throughout this process to help keep the community informed about what's going on with our local businesses. We have been broadcasting on Facebook Lives with community partners all throughout Oakland County since we began this Megacast 5 weeks ago. This is our 25th show. And today, our Facebook partner, of course, the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. A shout out and a thank you to their executive director, Suzanne Levine, for allowing us to be on their Facebook page once again. She's also works very closely with us here in the spirit of full disclosure at Lakes FM as a Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commissioner, which does oversee our operations at Civic Center TV. And also a thank you to Vito Kukuru, who is the social media operator for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, for helping us dot our I's, cross our T's, and get the X's and O's together to get this broadcast happening on their Facebook Live. We've enjoyed providing this important information to you on their Facebook, and so we thank the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce immensely for all the help that they have provided to us today to get the good word out. And we encourage you, and I encourage you, I'm just going to go on my soapbox a little bit to end this program. I encourage you to take the spirit of today's show, people like Wren Hack and Lea Luger, people going the extra mile like teachers like Jed Jones, people who are doing good things for those on the front lines, who are taking their talent and their abilities to help other people like Jeff Jimison from the Idea Labs at Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham. And it reminds me of a story I did here at Civic Center TV and Lakes FM, and we're just running out of time, so I'll try to say this as quickly as possible, where I spoke to a photographer in Sylvan Lake who had gone through such great tragedy in her life and had used her artistic ability to help other people deal with the tragedy that they had experienced and come to terms with that and find some comfort in where they are. And she said a great quote to me that I'll never forget, and I've taken with me since then in my career, and I'll take with me for the rest of my career and my life. She said, you have to take whatever talent you have and help people, whatever way it is. And we've seen great examples of that on today's program. And we thank you for joining us on 89.3 Lakes FM, WBLD, Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake. Have a great day. Stay well, stay safe, be kind. Good day. This is the Megacast on Civic Center TV, Lakes FM, and our family of stations.